Africa, as we all know, has this huge microscope or magnifying glass on us right now. I mean, we look at Nigerian music, for instance, is going places. So now the focus is switching, over to the African market.
Hello, guys. You're welcome to the Listening Sessions podcast, a show about the music industry, its players, and the game. My name is Obina Agu, music businessman and your host. All right, guys, Listening Sessions podcast, season 3. We're here again. And, of course, another amazing episode of the show. Today, we have a very special guest, and I can't contain my excitement, really. So let's welcome my guest, who is an excellent marketing professional, a distinguished music executive, and former marketing manager at UduX, and more recently, the head of Tunecore, West Africa. Let's welcome Chioma Onuchukwu.
Thank you. Really glad to be here.
Chioma, thank you so much for coming on the show. It means a lot to us,
Aw, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, what have you been up to? What have you been working on recently?
I mean, obviously, like you said,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so recently anymore, but I started working for Tunecore as, the head of Tunecore for West and East Africa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What's that East?
Yeah, it's it's a lot. It's like a total of 7 countries altogether. So it's been a lot of hard work, figuring things out, trying to basically get the business known. So a lot of brand awareness, press, and of course some other activities to just help, I think around mainly education for me. Yeah, because as part of the job, you also need to do some research and understand the markets that you're coming into.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the findings have been quite interesting. So of course, with every kind of research you do, you kind of need to use that results to inform, your strategies and stuff. So it's a lot, really.
I can imagine. Thank you so much, man. Because I was thinking it was just Nigeria, West Africa. Wow, East Africa. That.
Yeah, it's just 2 countries in East Africa for me. So for now we're just in 4 total. So I have 2. Then I don't know if you're aware, we also hired someone in Southern Africa that handles some territories in Southern Africa. So she also has 2 territories. So we just split that down the middle.
Great. So if someone had told you as you were rounding off your MBA that you'd be working in the music business in a few years, would you have thought that to be implausible? Was music business on your radar then?
Interestingly, no. So I'm someone that I know growing up I was into like the creative side of things. I mean, in my family, everybody did science. I did arts. Now, it's not the kind of art you think, Sha, but it's more social science, so economics. That was my BSc. And then taking up to do my master's, I didn't want to necessarily focus on one core subject. I felt like I knew I eventually would want to either own a business or be at the top of like a business or brand, handling the strategies, operations, and, things like that. So I opted for an MBA. It was a very hard decision, but I decided, I'll go for an MBA. Not everyone was happy about it, but I was like, this is what I want to do. I don't know why, but this is kind of where I'm leaning towards. Came back to find work in our darling country was
I know.
Because I came from a banking background. I worked in like 2 banks, separately. One was more, they weren't long-term per se, but I knew banking wasn't it for me. It was more something I came out, right out of uni, and I was still trying to figure out what the hell do you want to do, So I did that. I was like, go do your master's, come back, and then we'll figure out what we'll do. So I know while I was doing the master's, I kind of honed in more on the marketing side of things. So I knew I wanted to come back and really now get into the business, get into like marketing and stuff. But the industry was not the question. Of course, work was hard to come by. So interestingly, I would say was my immediate elder brother who shares the same name as you, Bina, who he's friends with the CEO of UduX.
Okay.
So then UduX UduX wasn't in existence. What we had was MCOM. So that was basically a music aggregator, and one of like the most
Yes,
known ones
yes,
then.
yes.
And that was how I got in. Got the job there, and my marketing journey in the music industry started basically. So, very short story, but I think it was.
How's it been so far? Are you loving it in here?
Yes. So with Tunecore, it's completely different. It's an international company. When I say international, it's very international.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm head of Tunecore. I just mentioned there's a head of Tunecore Southern Africa. Best believe there's a head of Tunecore India. There's someone in Brazil. There's someone in Europe. So we have about, not just Europe, but we have like 4 people. That's one's handling Italy, one person is in Germany, one person's in Russia. Yeah, and then of course you have in the US and of course UK. So it's a very diverse environment, and the culture there is something else that I've not really experienced. It's really, really awesome. And most importantly, the support women in the top levels
Yeah.
in the organization. So that's really a really, 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 big deal, because you know how it is, not just in the music industry, but other industries as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's for me, I'll say it's been really awesome. I still kind of like to consider myself as a newish, oldish employee. I'm not that new, but I'm still not that old. So still learning the ropes, but then the supports I get, so you can imagine the support artists get as well. So
Yeah.
it's really awesome. It's really
I'm
great.
awesome, beautiful. Back to UduX a little. Being one of the executives at UduX, can you share what it was like at the beginning? Like what was the vision?
I mean, definitely, UduX was or is aiming to become, the top streaming platform. Not just a top streaming platform, but the first created by Nigerians.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've really had one that has stuck per se, or if there was
Yeah.
even any that was made
Mm-hmm.
that was indigenous, so to say. So this one was created by a
But
Nigerian.
okay.
And not just that, it was also made by someone who's been in the industry for a very long time. So Chidiane Tokeke. So my boss till now, we recently spoke because, it's always good to always have those great contact with ex-bosses and stuff. So yeah, so that's really been the vision. So of course it's a startup,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of learning, trying to figure things out.
Mhm.
The music industry or the music terrain, especially on the consumer side, is still picking up, so to say. People still don't have the mentality of subscribing or paying to listen to music.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. Even till now with Tunecore, is still, even though my area now is on the other side, so on the supply side, not the demand side.
Yeah.
So for UduX being a streaming platform and store, it's your concern or your key customers are the consuming side, that's the demand side.
Yes.
And then in a place like Nigeria, where it hasn't really stuck just yet, it was tricky. And if you look in the past, not to call names, there've been other ones that have come in, and where are they now? You ask yourself that question: what really happened?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, startup trying to figure things out. They're still standing. They're. One thing I'll say is that they are not trying to just remain as they are. They're trying to also morph into something else to accommodate, because you're bringing a business into a new market. You don't expect the market to adapt to you. You have to adapt to that market.
True.
So what are you doing?
True.
So I'll say you've been doing a good job. I can't, obviously I'm not there anymore. I'm not going to probe to say, oh, I know what's really happening. But from what I saw, part of the challenges, yes, those were some of the things that I would say we were trying to figure out. Okay, how do you cater to this market?
Awesome, because I'm all for expanding the music business space, but at the time UduX started, I struggled to see the upside of starting a profitable indigenous streaming platform, because I felt like Boomplay had an unassailable lead, being they had this thing going, and I expected that the global players would soon come into the market too. So how did you fancy your chances then?
So then the tactic or the strategy, I don't know if that has changed now, was basically to position the brand as an Afrocentric application. So with the likes of, say, the international guys, and I think even a Boomplay, there, when you come into the application or you use the app, typically there isn't necessarily that focus on pushing forward African talents.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't really blame them because by the time you're going to partnerships with, the majors, for instance, and the other large distributions, say like Tunecore, for instance, their catalog is way bigger than local music here. You just
Yes.
can't
Yes.
compare. So by the time you ingest that, you kind of might see a situation where there is already that overshadowing kind of happening, with the music. So for them, it was more to position the app, not just the app itself, but the feel. When you come into the app, the interface and everything, to give it that, oh, this is for Africans, created by Africans, for Africans, so to say. And then we're pushing forward African artists, particularly Nigerian artists with,
Yeah.
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 So that, I would say, was kind of the tactic, because you did raise a good point. It's like, okay, how do you think you would, really do it? But then again, they had people who believed in the project and was, putting forward like their supports, whether it's money or advice, and stuff like that forward, because there was still something there. It's just to get it right.
Yeah.
Now, are they gotten it right? I guess they can't say, but the business is still very much around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how did your time out there at UduX prepare you for what you are doing now at Tunecore?
I would say it gave me insights into particularly the Nigerian music industry on both ends. So, like I said, the demand and, of course, the supply side of things. It gave me an understanding of some of the challenges with, music listeners, and how the culture of paying for music hasn't really taking hold here just yet. And then on the supply side, you're talking about the recording musicians, the artists. What is it that they need? And this is where I'll say Tunecore I've really been able to, hone in and expand on that a little bit more, because it's now like, how do we meet artists where they are right now? What's really is the pain points? What's the frustration? What is it that they don't get? What is it that I know and other people know that they don't know? That might be stifling their progress, so to say. So it's been interesting. I'll say definitely UduX has been, instrumental in giving me that insight and also the backbone, so to say. I was very behind the scenes compared to like with the role at Tunecore. I was very behind the scenes with UduX, but I was part of some of those big conversations. I was like, typically I was always the only lady there, but I always found myself to be more on the quiet and absorbing, like, information. And maybe if I had something to say, maybe I'll just drop it and, keep quiet and stuff, or just give my 2 cents and stuff. But yeah, I would say it's the big thing I'll say for me was just that insights, for sure. The insights.
Nice. So about Tunecore, why should an independent artist or label for that matter choose Tunecore as their distribution partner over other international players in the very saturated markets as it is now?
Yeah, it's saturated. But I think at the end, and this is something I always say, is, before you pick a distributor, you need to think about certain things. So one is, what's their standing with some of the stores, especially the international stores like, Spotify, Apple Music, even Boomplay. What's their standing? YouTube Music, another big one. What's their standing with those stores? What I mean by that is in terms of like relationship and reputation. Now, for instance, a situation where, I don't know if you're aware of something called, you should know, cheat streams. Have you heard about that?
Cheat streams.
So that's like
No, I
where
haven't.
people would basically create fraudulent. It's a form of fraud.
Oh, okay.
So it's not real people streaming the music.
I wouldn't know about fraud.
Yeah. No, it's not like that. No, but it's where people basically falsify, or they create streams, and they create a lot of it. So it could be they're paying people to do that from maybe Vietnam or something like that. And it typically will send red flags with the stores, as cheat streams. And typically when it's coming from, say, a particular distributor or whatever, it could tarnish the image and reputation. Yeah. So you need to go for distributors that are in good standing with the stores. Why? Because typically when there's any kind of new features or development or potential partnership, those distributors stand a higher chance of being the first, to get that information, get that opportunity, and what that is a trickle down effect to you as an artist that uses that
Yeah.
distributor. So it benefits you. It's not the distributor, it's you, the artist. Do you understand that will benefit from that? So that's one thing to look at. Another very big one is the shishi to distribute the music. Now we know, that there are those that say distribute your music for free. Okay. You should ask yourself, how free is it? Do you understand? How are they making their money? Because every business has to have a business model.
Exactly.
So are they running, like us, a subscription model? For us, what we pride ourselves on is for the distribution, you get 100% of everything you make. We don't take anything from you. Some other distributors don't have that model. They have either a commission or some kind of a split or something where they are taking maybe 30% or something. It just depends on them and things like that. And the guys that say that they are free, a lot of the times it's not free. There's usually something that is going, unless maybe they're running some form of like an advertising model or something. I don't know how. You need to have a lot of influx. I mean, with free you could, but you need to think about things like that. Okay, it's free. You want to go for free because maybe you're broke, you don't have the money, or you just want to be a cheapskate. I don't know, but okay, fine. So you need to think about, is it really, really free? Okay, are they running a rev share model? What is the percentage? And are there any other hidden cuts somewhere? Then if they're telling you that it's independent, it's not like it's independent. They're telling you it's you keep 100%, like Tunecore, you keep 100% of 100%. Find out, okay, is there any other cut that is going? We don't do that. We typically, ours is a subscription model. So you subscribe to get a single out. There's different prices for everything. So if you want to have a single out, cool. That usually runs for that 1 year of that single, whether it's an album or an EP, whatever the case may be. So that's how we make our own money. And then when you make money from, your sound recording royalties from the streaming stores, all of that is shipped over to you. We don't take anything from it. Yes. So that's typically how it works.
Wow.
That's really how it works.
So talking about payment systems, I've spoken to a few artists who have encountered challenges with that. So now that Tunecore has a strong presence out here, are we going to be seeing stuff like maybe partnerships that would help the money to just flow in easily? Maybe something with Paystack or Flutterwave or something.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason why, with the international expansion, why I'm hired and why I'm also pushing for some of these localizations. Now, this is something that will take some time. It's in the talks. So things like charging in local currency is a very, 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 very big one that we're looking into. And of course, local payment gateways are a very big one. Because interestingly enough, there's a lot of people who still, when they see a website and it's charging in international currency, that's enough for them to back the hell off. You understand? The percentage of people who are able to, who even have a debit card, is still, last I checked, that was a while ago though, it's still about 30% of the population of Nigeria that has a debit card. That's one actually stunned me a little bit. I haven't checked. I still have another research I'm going to be doing soon. So I'm going to check to see where we are right now. But last I checked, this was like, I think December of last year or January last year. That was the figure. So you can imagine, what we're talking about here. So there's definitely that conversation going on to basically see, okay, how can we get into doing that? So it's a lot of work. Part of why I started with it's a lot of work earlier on, but yes, it's something that we're definitely looking into.
I'm really excited talking to you. I'm really excited that companies like Tunecore have now started to even consider us a serious enough market to be out here. In the past, we've also seen a lot of these global companies come in, but they give you that feeling that we're not really here to make big investments. We're not here for the long haul, So it shows in their body language and the type of projects they're going to take on. Are we going to be enjoying a more robust relationship with Tunecore?
Yes. I mean, why would they go through the effort and pay me in the first place if they weren't looking to do that? I mean, listen, Africa, as we all know, has this huge microscope or magnifying glass on us right now. I mean, Nigerian music, for instance, is going places. So now the focus is switching. over to the African market, and not to come off anyway, but hey, why Nigeria? Nigeria is like the biggest in terms of music in Africa. Do you understand? In terms of like people who are really doing the thing and stuff like that. So definitely it's a long-term investment. Like I said, yes, that the eyes are now switching over to Africa. But the thing to note is this: there's so many talents here, and a lot of them we've not even heard.
Sure.
Because people are still stuck on, I need a label. I don't have the money. I don't do this. I don't need that. And one thing we pride ourselves on is we celebrate independent artists. We call ourselves a DIY distribution company. So that means what we're doing is we're a tech company offering you a tool to easily and affordably get your music out there. Do you understand? So you don't need, do you understand? Maybe you need, there's nothing, and don't get it wrong, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be signed up to a major label or anything. But listen, the likes of a Wizkid, Bona, the rest of them, they weren't picked up at infancy of their career.
Sure.
Something happened. There were efforts they put in place. Now, maybe they hired a team, because guess what? They were treating their music as a business, which is what a lot of artists fail to do. They started from somewhere. Best believe many of them, not to call, I don't want to use it, put names out there, but many of them use Tunecore to distribute their music before they really blew, or right at the peak of when they've really gotten there, and then they then move over to, say, a major label. Because guess what? Most of these major labels, one of the things that they look at is your streaming numbers. So if you understand that power, what are you doing to make sure that you have that to show? You have those analytics to show, or that data to show and say, this is what my music is, how well my music is doing. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
wow. It's almost like I don't even know my next question. Like I'm mesmerized, honestly. So talking about successful artists on the Tunecore platform, I know Ross, the American guy, one of the richest independent people. So guys, just in case you're thinking about Tunecore and success stories, of course you guys know Ross. So yeah, Ross, Tunecore, the Tunecore people are always very proud of Ross and talking about him. So I know that Tunecore has a music publishing tool or business. Is this available to artists here, and how can they take advantage of this service?
Yes, absolutely. So our publishing admin, basically what that does is, if you want to basically get your music, that's the composition, licensed worldwide, it's typically advised that you do it with, a publishing administration, and that's something that Tunecore offers. So what we do is we basically have that help you register that your catalog, whether it's we just have one song or you have an entire catalog, it's all the something called the collective management organizations worldwide. So like the BMIs, the ASCAP, and things like that. So what that does is basically helps you collect something called performing royalties. Okay. Yeah, performing royalties. So that is where, for instance, if your music is being performed live, say somewhere in the US, we're able to collect that for you. Yeah, and then.
Do they need to register with anybody, or once you're with Tunecore, you're good?
Yeah, so you can use Tunecore. There's so many other entities that also, offer that, but you can do that. See, you can have everything done for you with Tunecore, basically. So you can distribute and also have, especially if you own the compositions, you can distribute the track where you collect your sound recording royalties from the streaming platforms. Then you can also submit the compositions. So you can submit to have it registered. So you do a one-time payment, and there's a split. There's a commission split for that in particular. Yeah, so anywhere that your music is being played, it's collected by, of course, the CMOs, and then it's then sent down to us, and then we send it to the artists.
Clearly, with the way our industry is set up, I know our whole music publishing thing is still like in its infancy stages, which shouldn't be. But it doesn't appear to me like there's a lot of publishing money to be made within Nigeria.
Um, you might want to call the bodies that pay to come and sit here for that one. That's one. And it's not just Nigeria. I think the issue is quite widespread, so to say. So unfortunately, I don't know how the processes work, and if they're really doing the job they need to be doing, and if it's even easy for them to do it, and they support the need if they're getting it. But we've heard some stories, around the bodies here
Yeah.
and of course in other countries and in Africa and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that's more reason why, especially if your music is gaining traction, say TikTok is making your music go pion pion pion, or one celebrity in the America has played your music on Instagram and it has blown up, or one blog, say like Shade Room now plays your music somewhere, and I think Shade Room is owned by like a Nigerian or something,
Yeah.
so they
Nigerian
support
girl.
Nigerians quite a bit. So, and you're an artist, that's why you need to get yourself a publishing administrator.
Basically, you need to be with Tunecore.
I mean, I'm not gonna shove it, but I will tell you what we do. Part of my job is to educate you, and then hopefully, you take
You do
that
the right thing.
information and turn it into power, basically.
So I feel like in the last couple of years, every distro has now added artist services to their mandate, and Tunecore is no exception. So can you walk us through what constitutes artist services at Tunecore?
Yeah, so for us, what we did is to basically find external organizations or external businesses that offer services that will be relevant to the artists, irrespective or depending on like the stage of the music. So what I mean by that, I always like to break it down as there's the creation stage, which is like the production stage. So, composing, then you go to the studio, do your sound recording and things like that.
Yeah.
Then you have the other stage where Tunecore comes in, which is the distribution or AKA placement.
Okay.
So that is where how are people going to access your music and things like that. So that's where you think of things like distribution. Then you have the promotion side, which is another very important one. So that is okay. So the music is in a store somewhere.
Yeah.
It's on a shelf somewhere. But how are you getting people to go to that store to get it? That's what promotion really is. So we try to find, for us, we obviously cater to the centerpiece. So for that production side, you can find like something like Bandcamp. Have you heard of it?
Yes,
So that's a new
yes.
partnership we just did where artists can easily on their phone, compose something, their beats, you can do anything there, you can do sound recording there, things like that. Yeah, so gives artists, that access of, okay, I'm still maybe in the production phase, but maybe I should, maybe use of Bandcamp because Tunecore is pushing that forward. And I want, it's like us co-signing saying, yeah,
You
we
can-
trust these guys. Yeah,
yeah.
use them. The promotion side, it could be a airplay company that can help you get airplay on radios, things like that. Yeah. So for me, because looking at what we have and we're looking to update it. We have like a section on the website for that. We're looking to update it so that it's a little bit more internationally inclusive. I think it is right now, but you want to tell someone with the do you understand? They might be having a hard time with just saying to distribute with Tunecore and you're telling them to. So part of what we want to see is potentially if there are similar companies locally with all the territories that we could potentially do something like that with, where we can just have like a more, larger catalog of those types of services for various territories so that it's more, all encompassing, so to say. So yeah, that's really it. It's just the artist service is just what could help you wherever you are. You still in the creation phase or are you now in the promotion phase? Okay, this are people that will say, go and have a conversation with. So a lot of times it's not just, just go and have a conversation, but we might be able to negotiate and say, okay, give them a discount. We have the traffic. So we want you to give our artists that are signed to Tunecore a really nice discount or some other perks, so to say, or why we should, funnel them over to you to say, okay, these guys we trust. So that's kind of how we typically structure,
Awesome. And seeing how Tunecore has been around for a long time and now in Nigeria, and there are a lot of people trying to make music in Nigeria, so the market is crazy. So for an artist who's thinking, it's a lot of us out here, how will will they really have time for me? Will I be important enough for somebody to, think about me for 1 hour or try to help me in that way, seeing how it's a lot of people who are trying to be on this platform, is that a valid concern?
No, because with Tunecore, one thing we will say is, or what we also proud ourselves on, is our customer support. So we know how important it is to be able to send an email and someone gets back to you at least within 24 hours. Do
Yeah.
you understand? Now, the only thing is, yes, the support team is based out of the US. We have some folks also in Mexico, but either way, we always aim to be available to help resolve
Yeah.
whatever the issues, whether it's inquiry or complaints or something isn't working. So that is something we pride ourselves on. Because, yeah, Tunecore might be seen as being maybe more expensive than some other distributors, or, of course, you have the free guys, but then you ask yourself the question of, okay, what are you paying for? You get what you pay for, really. So if you're paying that amount, it's not like it's crazy expensive, in my humble opinion. Like, if we do the conversion, it's depending on the exchange rate, it's somewhere around less than or almost 5K for a single.
Yeah.
And with that, if you need support, there is someone that would be there through the end to help you get that issue resolved or answer any questions that you may have. Can't say the same for a lot of other guys, even your local music aggregators, that you could send email to, and I don't know, maybe enter spam. But I really don't. I can't. To each their own. That's all I would say. All I'm focused on is just saying, the support. If you need it, it's there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. So, do you see Afrobeats or any other popular African music styles making as much inroad as K-pop has done on the global music space?
So
Is that gonna happen at some point?
I mean, it's already happening. If you think about it, Afrobeats is taking off. You don't need that body. Blowing up in the US right now.
Yeah.
It's insane. Amapiano is another one that is gradually, that's in South Africa, is gradually, crawling
Thanks to
out.
Nigerians jacking
And
it.
I feel like Bongo Flava, Tanzania,
I should check that out.
probably, so it's like a genre there. I think that's another one that could
Bongo
eventually.
Flava.
So I think what would happen is it's either it explodes on its own, or just Nigerians that would use the beats too. Do you understand? And it will blow up. But I feel that's another one, that people should also keep their eyes out. Yeah. Then then there's of course gospel that has already. Sinach is a Tunecore artist, so she's
Money.
tearing things up gospel wise. Yeah. I mean, we know. Yeah, she's doing well. She's doing really, really, really well.
I'm
doing
sure
really well.
her numbers as in money is staggering.
She's doing really,
when
really,
you
really
look at
well.
it from the back end.
I just said she's doing really, really, really. She's doing really, really well. She's doing really well.
Wow.
But yeah, she's I mean, when I say that is because you see people who are making covers of the track. Even some of like the notable international churches, they're playing her music. So, and she's won. I think it's called the Dove Award. What year was that? Was it 2019? I can't recall. So it's like I think it's like a Christian. Almost like a Christian Grammy, so to say, kinda, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so somewhat, but yeah, she's doing really, really well.
Lovely, lovely. So, tens of you would not be on the back end. Tens of thousands of music are currently being released daily. Some people say it's around 40 to 50,000. That's a lot, and we expect this to be the case for the foreseeable future. In your experience as a music executive and marketing professional, what would be your advice to an emerging independent artist on how to make it in the present crowded music business space?
Treat your music as a business. Don't forget it. So let me use this analogy that, okay, you want to start a bottled water company. Okay, you figured out the production side. You shared it with friends and family via WhatsApp. You finally get it into stores. Okay, do you fold your hands? Or maybe you've not gotten into the stores. Your warehouse is in your house, and you're not Do you understand? You have this amazing water, maybe strawberry flavored or something. Do you understand? And you're not putting it where people will see it. That's how you'll be looking at the water and the water will be looking at you. Do you understand? Till it will expire or it becomes irrelevant or the trend goes away. So I always say, yes, I'm a marketing person, but I always go back to people, and it's not rocket science to know this thing. Just go and figure out what the 4Ps of marketing is. Just have that in mind. Now, 4Ps, that's the price, placement, price, product placement, promotion. Price, you don't always have a lot of control over because you're dealing with, when we're talking about distribution to stores, you don't control how much, they can sell your music for and necessarily how much they give you back. Typically, it's that relationship I talked about between the distributor and the stores.
Yes.
When you have good standards, it's easier for you to negotiate higher rates that you can then pay out to your artist. And another thing I forgot to mention onto what you think about when you're picking a distributor is, make sure they don't have a middleman. What I mean by that is they are saying they're a distributor, but there's someone they have to give it to that to give to the stores. They don't have that relationship. That's another thing. Why that is important is because when your money comes back, stores will take their own. Middleman will take his own. Depending on what the business model is for the distributor before the money now comes to you. Think about all those minus. Yeah, so back to what I was saying about the 4Ps. So with the price, you don't always have that control, unless you're talking about maybe the physical CDs, which too, you also don't really have a lot of control, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of driven by market forces. What other people are selling their CDs is probably what you have to sell yours for. You can't say, I'll sell you higher and stuff. Why? People go and look for it online. Free music download. Collect it in, sharp. So think about that and you think about the product. So that is the music. The music is the product. You understand? You need to understand what is trending, what's your style, how do you make it, fit what's currently trending, whether it's Afrobeats or whatever, or you're creating a new genre. I don't know, but you need to do some research. Again, if you're using something like Tunecore, we have an analytics dashboard that you can actually use to see how your music is performing.
Yeah.
So you can see who is listening to your music. Are they in India? Are they in Brazil? Do you understand? Things like that can inform you on, okay, maybe things like the genre of music or the style of music, the beats, whatever the case, the composition, or even just the theme of the song in question. Things like that can help you decide on the product side of things. It can also help you plan things like, should we go on tour somewhere? Because say you're checking your analytics and you see South Africa, you have streams for days. It's not smart to go there and go and have a concert.
Very smart.
Do you understand? So that's another thing to think about. Then you think of something like, so I've talked about price, product. You now look at something like placement. I've talked about placement when I talked about the production, distribution, promotion. Placement is your distribution. How are people going to find your music? How do they access your music? Because you make the music and it sits inside WhatsApp group, or it sits inside your phone, or it's on your file on your PC. It's wasting now. Do you understand? So how are you getting it out there? What's working for you? Do you want to do physical CDs? It's an option. Is this a strategy, really? You could do both physical CDs. You could distribute to the stores to, one, make money from streams, and build your streaming numbers if your desire is to be with a label. Do you understand? With Tunecore, our parent company is Believe. So they also offer distribution and artist services, but they do a lot more. So what we do, how it works between the two companies is you have the opportunity to be upstreamed to Believe services. And that's a big deal. It can help take your career even further if you want to.
So Believe is kind of like a major at that level.
They're not a label. They don't dress themselves as a label, but they're just so they do a little bit more. So they don't necessarily go for like overly huge catalog. It's specific with who they go for. So that is another thing they look at, your numbers. How are you doing? Yeah. So if you're doing well, they'll be like, okay, let's even take you further, and then you can be upstreamed to Believe from Tunecore. That's another reason why you want to. Yeah, it's another reason why you might want to consider Tunecore as well. Yeah, so you look at placement. So placement is, where is your music going?
Yeah.
And when you're thinking about that, say you're using Tunecore to handle that placement side as a distribution side, you can also figure out, where are my listeners? What are they using? So if I am targeting Africa, okay, what kind of stores, what DSPs are they really using? Do you understand? Is it Spotify? Spotify is here now. And they have a freemium model. So guess what? There's a lot more people using Spotify. So you might want to get your music on Spotify, and earn that freemium revenue. Boomplay is huge here. They are the ones that have, I don't know how they did it, but they are doing it. Those techno phones.
Yeah,
but,
that's how they did it.
Exactly. I didn't want to say, but at least you caught on. But, that's another one to look at. Apple Music. You're targeting a different level of your listeners with Apple Music. So these are things, you need to look into. Then, of course, promotion. Very important one. People say, oh, I don't have money. Fine. That's your WhatsApp. Use it. Do you understand? You have social media. Pretty sure you have a lot of followers. 10K is something. They're following you for a reason. Use it. Put your links. Send them out there. Promote yourself. You got to be, if you want to be creating content, be creating content. Music itself is content creation. You're a content creator. If you look closely with, for instance, I don't know if you've heard this about, like bloggers or YouTubers or whatever. They're always like, you have to consistently create content. That applies to you too as an artist. Because look, the likes of a Wizkid, Davido, Tiwa, Yemi, have you ever heard them say they are going on a break?
No.
They are going on a hiatus. They are going on leave.
No.
Even if they do, they don't necessarily announce it.
Yeah.
But there's something. Either they're on tour, they're making music, or they're somewhere on social media, they're active. Now, there's so many artists that have gone on break and they struggle to come back. Do you understand? It's very for some, and that's unfortunately that's the way it is because you're a content creator. Unfortunately, you have to keep showing up, So that's kind of something else with the promotion side of things. You need to keep on showing up. So whether you want to be funny, do stuff maybe like Don Jazzy, or be like Davido, that always has cameras or so to say following him, you need to be active. You have these links that you get when you distribute your music to all those stores. Put them on your bio. Talk about them. Push your song. Do you understand? So I always say they should remember that the 4 P's, particularly like the last 3 of products, placements, and promotion. Very important. Treat your music like a business.
Wow. Lovely. And when you were talking about this, you mentioned analytics. I talked about Ross before, who is a Tunecore guy. And what Ross basically just decided to be more aware about his analytics. So he would look at the back end and say, okay, it appears we're doing well here. He decided he didn't want to open for anybody. So he would go to those locations and sell tickets and headline his own show. And now Ross is doing major things, man. Like he's selling stuff out there. So do you find that a lot of artists just put out music and just try to feel for what's going on as opposed to using these tools, the data, the analytics, all these things so they can make a more informed decision going forward?
To be sincere, I don't know what they're doing, but what I can say is many of them, especially those who are like independent, maybe they have a team or they don't have a team, but they always want to just, I won't say hide behind, but just stand behind, I am the talent. I just want to focus on the creative side. So typically it's their team. If they have a team, that is, if they're not solo, they have a team that's meant to, help them. But the artists themselves too, because it's their craft. Otherwise, all this their is waste, really. Also need to look into that. Now you have this whole digitization that is happening with this analytics that makes it easier. It's no longer just, putting your ear out there. Even TV, if your song's playing on TV, it doesn't tell you much. Yeah, it's good. It's brand awareness.
Yeah, but you
can't track. Yes. Yeah, you can't really track how people really feeling you. So this is one way you can get that. I mean, aside from, let's say if you go on tour and you check your ticket sales as an way for you to know, okay, people are feeling me. Makes sense. Do you understand? But how do you get to the ticket sales side that can tell you give you an insights? You need something else, to do that. So yeah, there is it comes back to that whole education thing of, listen, this is why you need to do this for X, Y, Z reasons,
So you're saying artists should obsess over their data?
You should. I don't want to say obsess, but it should be one of the key things you should be paying attention to, because it tells you a lot about the magic you've made. Really, are people feeling it? Because if your streams are high, your analytics is showing that your numbers are high in so places, then you've made something really awesome. Or maybe you need to go back to the drawing board if it's not. Yeah.
Nice. So uh, Tunecore, what is Tunecore's intended strategy to penetrate into the Nigerian space? I mean, recently it's crazy. Empire, 1 RPM, Orchard, bro. It's So what is the strategy?
The strategy now, we can't come and just
Exactly.
open the secrets here. But the one thing I'll say is more education is one thing I can just give out. There is that lack of information or education around, say, distribution, for instance, and even publishing as well. There's still publishing is a lot more complicated, to be sincere. So I don't blame people who get stuck with it, because that's where you see people run into the issues of all those rights, copyrights issue, and all those types of stuff. So I feel it's more on that education side. I mean, one thing too with ours is we recently launched our master classes, and
lovely.
Yes, and they're free.
Oh, beautiful.
They're free master classes. The way it's designed is basically the more you take classes, you're earning something called credits that you can eventually pile on and even use to distribute music.
Oh, wow.
So it's a way of just encouraging more people to, and we're looking to potentially localize that for all of the territories, so that it's people that you know and see that's doing more of the education than just some international folks who you don't know, basically. So so the education thing is really a big one. And of course, looking to get into more campaigns. We have a campaign called Get More. So for our territory is get more support. I talked about Believe, not just the Believe side, but I talked about, our support team is always available to help you. So get more support, get more reach, obviously get your music out there to more stores. We have over 150 stores and we're adding more. Yeah, we're adding more. We're looking to see, potential ones that we could also partner with here and stuff. And then, of course, more opportunities. So that's where Believe comes in. So you have that opportunity to be upstream to Believe services, where you get a little bit more and they can help, push up. So one artist that we did that with is Rick Hassani.
Oh,
so Rick Hassani
nice.
was upstream from Tunecore to Believe.
Lovely.
So we're looking to, we have some other artists in conversation. I don't want to talk about it just
yet. No, it's okay.
Yeah, so, but...
it's okay. So will Believe be starting its own boutique label, or maybe going into a JV with already established labels out here to do more business?
No, I don't see. I don't see that happening necessarily. I don't know. For now, it's Tunecore and Believe.
Okay.
So, but I really don't know. One thing I know is that they recently just got listed in the stock exchange. Yeah, so
that's huge.
I don't. I doubt it. I'm not too sure. Unless these guys go and buy small stocks or something. It's a different conversation.
But I'm thinking audio is audio. So do you guys have, can podcasters distribute stuff through Tunecore?
No. So it's mainly just music. I think with the podcast, I believe you can go directly. I think to the likes like Apple Music, you can go directly. Sorry, Apple, you can go because they have your own like a podcast, Apple Podcast. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, it's just podcast. Just called podcast. And I think Spotify is also direct, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But
So covers. Can someone distribute a cover, and if that's possible, what is the arrangement, or is that even possible? Because I believe strongly that covers are very important in helping an artist, build something. It's easier for people to warm up to something that's familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, can covers be distributed?
Yeah, so that's where the publishing administration comes in. So there's a few things I didn't mention under that. So under that, yes, you get your performing rights, and there's something else called the mechanical license, and that's where covers come in. So what that means is, when a music is made, there's a composition side, and then there's a sound recording. The true owner of the song is the person who owns the composition. So a lot of times the people who sing the song don't, and the only thing they could potentially earn is just royalties from the sound recordings from the streaming platforms. So that is what they own. So you now, for instance, can come to me, let's say I own the composition, and then you get what's called like a mechanical licensing from me. So you get a license to use, typically is a fee that you have to pay me to be able to use the composition to now make your own cover. So that cover you made can now be distributed, and then you can make money from the streaming revenue from your own cover. Now, it's also interesting, under that publish administration, there is also sync licensing. That is where, best way to break it down is where one piece of content is added to another piece of content, typically like moving images. So I can take someone's music and add it to videos. So that's where it comes into like movies. I don't know, maybe you watched a movie and you hear a song that that's sync licensing. Maybe you hear a song you don't know but you like it. That's sync licensing right there. Or maybe you hear an advert and there is music, like that's how stars do. I don't know if you've seen that ad with, I think, Media. That's sync licensing there. So typically that's another thing we do. So us as a publishing administration company, we can help pitch your music to the likes of, let's say, music managers in, say, let's say Netflix, for instance, or one of these heavy duty movie places, advertising agencies, even games. Like I don't know if you're into video games on PS4 and the rest of them. Some music deals. That's also So then you can have a situation where a movie might say they want to use this music, but they don't want to use the original recording. They want to use a cover. A good example is, have you seen Crazy Rich Asians? The wedding scene with the water on the ground, where the lady was singing "Wise Man Says," the very slow. That was a cover.
Yeah.
So that's sync licensing, right? That's not the original. Yeah. So that's basically, so it's possible you can make a cover from like just get the license, mechanical license, and then pay the licensing fee.
Sounds like a lot of
So
paperwork.
that's where what they call it, the publisher administrator comes in. So typically the ones that can help you organize all that as well.
Lovely. So what peculiar insights have you acquired over the years about this industry that might seem counterintuitive to people in other businesses?
Like I mentioned, from the demand side, where I think it's getting a little better with like the more of these DSPs now having freemium version. So it's still a little slow. We're getting more people using the platform. And then I think also this one is tricky. Also with some artists who, I don't know what it is, but I think it's just that I think I know what it is. I think it's a case where they're used to, they're not used to like a DIY system or platform or tech platform that they can just go, make your payments, put your song file on there, fill out all the details, press send, and your music goes.
Yeah.
A lot of people are still, I think a lot of people are either still very used to, I don't know, the case of the way it works with the way it works with music aggregators locally, where it's, sign contracts, here's a music file, you do the work. Do you understand? You don't necessarily get, depending, but some of them get insights. It's usually something that is sent to them. It's not like a place they can go to really see for themselves and things like that. So there's still that problem of a lot of artists still needing to be, so to say, babied, I feel, a little bit. So it makes it tricky to get the whole, model here of, oh, it's this DIY, you do it yourself,
Yeah.
to really stick. Because people are still like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing, or, I'm used to, I just give and they do everything. And then when money comes, they take their own and, they give me back and, stuff like that. So I'll say those two things for now. I'd say quite tricky-ish.
You mentioned earlier that in some of those early meetings you would often be the only woman in the room, So
Not all the time.
yes, not all the time, but we don't have nearly enough women in the industry. That's why I get really excited when our guest is a woman, because So, would you advise more women to perhaps try to get into the music space?
Yes, absolutely. If you have that desire, you have the interest in the industry and you feel you could be, of some impact, you could really make a change. Don't let anything stop you. Go for it. Or maybe you are an expert in a particular field and you're looking to get into a different industry, music. Bring that expertise over here. We need all the help, we can get. So I'll say come in, be yourself, have soft skin. Most importantly, make sure you have your voice and you're speaking up. Don't let no one try to
Very important.
yeah, put you down whatsoever. Yeah. So just come in as a boss. The boss that you are. Come on,
That's so.
do your thing.
Thank you so much, Chioma.
Thank you.
It was beautiful talking to you, very insightful. I can't wait to see all the amazing things you're going to achieve at Tunecore.
Thank you.
And all the other places, in a few years. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to, any information? Anything? Is there anything you want to say before we end the show? Anything coming up? Anything you think the listeners should know? Any whatever?
No, not for now. For now, just we're looking to launch our own social media page very soon because I
Okay.
think it's important to build that local community.
Okay.
So it's probably going to end up being a Tunecore Africa page. Yeah. So look out for that. And then if you're not distributing your music with Tunecore, what is you doing? So just visit www.tunecore.com. Get started with your music. And yeah, simple as that.
Thank you.
100% of 100%.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
you.